3 weeks ago, I got some information. I just drove from here to Newmarket in Suffolk, spent the night in the car, got up Saturday morning, photographed some really exotic aircraft that were redeploying from Germany back to America. Even last night, I was travelling up the M4, M11 to Suffolk again. This morning I woke up in Suffolk. Yes, it has its advantages.
You're saying Suffolk, this is Mildenhall, Lakenheath territory, isn't it? This is a lot of these big, long runway, massive American bases. I mean, when you're taking photographs, what kind of aircraft are you say? You say exotic aircraft. What are you seeing up there?
2 weeks ago, I saw the first deployment of F-22 Raptors, which is the US Air Force Advanced Tactical Fighter.
Is this like a stealth fighter type thing?
Yeah. Today I was photographing Air National Guard deployment, which was in Romania, defending NATO against the current onslaught of abuse from Mr. Putin. So, Mr. Putin...
So hang on, are you saying about the National Guard? So this is a US National Guard jets sitting in East Anglia, basically, and then zipping off to Eastern Europe?
No, they flew from their bases in America to Romania. They've been on deployment in Romania. Unfortunately, some of them suffered technical malfunctions.
Well, they decided they would stop off in East Anglia to get the guys to get the spanners out.
Yeah. At the moment, there's a current deployment in Estonia of Air National Guard A-10s, which is one aircraft the Russians hate the most. It kills tanks. It's a tank buster. And believe you me, it's the most feared weapon in the NATO armoury.
Aviation and no-fly zones, this is becoming one of the main front lines, isn't it? I mean, for example, we had in Libya, and it's interesting to think you've managed to sort of turn a aviation hobby, into actually getting to understand this. So I'm just thinking back a few years now to the whole rendition program, where although a lot of people point the finger at plane spotters and say, oh, they're nerds, actually that was a very important part of exposing part of that illegal program of flying people around the world to illegal sites. I think, am I right?
Yep. Yeah. And also another thing that not many people are aware of is we've all heard of Area 51 in the books and on magazines and on TV programs.
Is that Nevada Desert in America?
Yes. But it's an airline that operates unmarked airliners, and they fly from Las Vegas to Area 51 3 or 4 times a day, every day, 7 days a week. To the normal general public like you just think, oh, it's a 737 taking off. To us, who know the aircraft, know the colour schemes of the aircraft, we know where they're going, which is Area 51.
So you say it's an unmarked aircraft, so that's an aircraft without any kind of, like, it's not an airliner, it's not got an airline's logo on the side?
No, it is a white 737 with an orange, a blue, a green, yellow stripe on it, and that's all the markings it's got.
Right, so it's almost like this is almost a stealth commercial airliner, isn't it? Because most people wouldn't notice there's anything wrong with it. What's on that plane? Why is it going there?
It's taking the workers out to Area 51.
And what? Okay, give your theories here. What is Area 51 really all about, Ian?
Testing of secret aircraft that the US government do not want the general public to know about.
But surely, I mean, we see these. You just talked about the Raptors. We do see these. I mean, you can't hide them, can you?
Yeah. We're talking about the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 Nighthawk were all developed under top secret. In fact, the SR-71 program was actually above top secret. From the initial Oxcar program onto Senior Crown program, which was the SR-71, it was all done at Area 51, stroke Groom Lake.
So, but those were all a long time ago, weren't they?
In the 1960s, and they're still going on today.
So any thoughts about what they might be developing now that we don't know about? I mean, we've seen these stealth jets and things like that.
There's talk of a Mark 6 ramjet called the Aurora, which is the SR-71
yes. I've heard of
final replacement. But
yes, I know it's a journalist called Nick Outerside who, when he was working up, I think it was the Aberdeen Press and Journal, did a really interesting article about the Aurora, saying that it was landing up in Scotland at Machrihanish in the middle of the night. No?
No. The only person to land in, the only really interesting thing ever to happen in Scottish airspace was Elvis Presley, who got off a plane going back to America, got on another plane, and then flew back to the States.
So nothing interesting ever happens in Scotland?
No.
Well, you see, how would you know? You see, because Machrihanish is airfield. I mean, it's on the Mull of Kintyre.
Yeah.
And the runway actually goes right out into... It's all barbed wire everywhere else. But the runway goes right out to the sea. So something at the middle of the night can land at Machrihanish, which is a great long runway, from the... so long as it's flying from west to east, and no one would be any the wiser. You won't see a thing. All you'll hear is a bit of a roar in the distance.
There was a rumour going around years ago that Boscombe Down in Wiltshire, there was a secret American stealth jet had a crash in Boscombe Down in Wiltshire. It's never proved.
Well, you won't prove it, will you? Because it's all barbed wire everywhere.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you... so you managed to get through the barbed wire in a way with your telephoto lens, do you?
Yep. Most of the aircraft we photograph are actually up in the air, so most airfields have a security policy of you can photograph the aeroplanes, but don't photograph the buildings.
Surely a lot of what you get, though, is rumour, isn't it? I mean, literally, you don't know whether it's true or not, Ian.
Not nowadays. In the old days, yes.
Well, how do you verify it? How do you back stuff up?
Facebook, Twitter.
Hang on. I mean, anybody can write something on Facebook and Twitter, surely.
And post photographs. Hence, when I went up to Mildenhall the other week for the F-22 Raptors, I didn't leave Bristol until A, I had the full regs of the aircraft, and B, I was lucky enough to see photographs of them landing in Mildenhall.
Oh, okay. So you knew what you were going
I knew
up
they
there.
were there before I left Bristol.
You're not wasting any petrol money, are you?
No.
So why? Do you know why these planes had to land? What was wrong with them?
Yeah, their tanker broke down.
Oh, right. So they couldn't be refuelled.
No.
So it wasn't actually the jets themselves.
The rumour is that one of the jets snapped the boom off the tanker.
Oh, dear. Naughty, naughty. That could be quite an expensive mistake.
Yeah.
Especially if they're actually being used in wartime and were needed.
Yeah. If you see the front, there was 2 A-10s came over to the UK for air shows earlier in July. If you look at the nose of one of them, it was so battered where the refuelling boom had hit the fuselage. It looked like, a dirty old banger that parked on the street. So, yeah, but, it's a case of air refuelling is a dangerous process. The American Air Force do one system. The US Navy do another system. We do a similar system to the United States Navy.
But so which is the best system for refuelling?
Easy ways, it's the American Air Force system, because you are flying an aircraft onto a fixed boom, whereas the Royal Air Force and the US Navy use a basket. So what you're doing is you're flying a probe into a basket. Now, during an event in 1982 where 2 Vulcans went to the Falklands to bomb the runway, it took 19 tankers to get it there and back. And believe you me, they were half a tonne of aviation fuel short at their last refuelling. So they went from their last refuelling point all the way down to the Falklands and back, and they were half a tonne of aviation fuel short.
So how come they didn't fall out of the sky?
That is for the grace of God. Only God himself knows why that mission did not fail.
I mean, don't you sort of just get labelled as a conspiracy theorist?
No. We're classed as anoraks, saddos.
What about the big conspiracies, things like Diana? Have you got theories about that?
I have.
You're likely to be knowledgeable, where most people will be in the dark.
There is a theory that Diana was killed accidentally by a government agency.
I don't think it would be an accident, Ian, would it?
It was. She was collateral damage. The person she was after was Dodi Fayed. The reason being is his father is the biggest contributor of money to the PLO. Now, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to work out what country would like to see that form of money stop.
Well, I mean, is you any evidence that the Israelis were even involved?
Yes. 2 Herculeses left Paris Charles de Gaulle 20 minutes after the crash.
Any evidence for that?
Yeah, there were several plane spotters that I know got the Herculeses Saturday. Come Sunday morning, they wasn't there.
Okay, so this is people actually on the ground in Paris taking photos of Israeli Hercules on the ground. Yep. Next day, they're gone.
Yep. But that is a conspiracy theory. You see, the trouble with Fayed is he is convinced that Diana was the target and his son was collateral damage because of the alleged baby that she was carrying.
Fascinating the idea of these the disappearing Israeli Hercules aircraft.
It's more of a disappearing car than the Hercs.
Which disappearing car?
The white car that's never ever been found.
Oh, the photographer's Fiat Uno.
Whatever.
Fiat Uno it was, yeah. So that's disappeared. Any other ideas of, sort of bigger news stories like the Diana killing that you've, through your plane spotting, you've sussed things out?
No, that's the main one at the moment. The funniest joke at the moment is the MV-22 Osprey, which is the aeroplane that thinks it's a helicopter.
Right, what is this, American?
It's
British?
An American.
Yeah.
The Japanese have just brought some. The joke is they're safe for the US Marines, US Air Force to use. But the President of the United States is not allowed to fly in one because the aircraft is unsafe.